Welcome back to Life with the Spectrum. I'm your host, Gina Cavalli, and we have watched season after season of Love on the Spectrum on Netflix. A captivating, heartwarming, truth-telling, follow these young adults on the spectrum, try to find love and make meaningful friendships and relationships, both in Australia, abroad, across the pond, and right here at home. It is my true pleasure to welcome Cian O'Clery, the Emmy Award-winning director, showrunner, and co-creator of Love on the Spectrum, right here to Life with the Spectrum. Hi, Cian. How you doing?
Hello, Gina. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too. How are things down under?
Not bad. It's a day ahead of you, so it's Tuesday morning here. The future's looking good.
Good deal. How long have you been in the business, Cian?
The business?
Yeah, like entertainment, Hollywood, that kind of thing.
Oof. Well, I worked on big films for a long time, so I worked on Star Wars, Matrix, things like that were filming in Australia for quite a long time. So since probably from my mid 20s until sort of my mid 30s. So I wasn't really working in documentary or factual until kind of, fairly recently.
And so then what made you start, like what made you feel it was so important to create a show all about young adults on the spectrum?
Well, so Love on the Spectrum came about because I had worked on another series that was telling the stories of people with disabilities looking for work and looking for employment.
Yeah.
So just through that process, I met lots of people on the spectrum, as you can imagine. And they kept telling me the same story about really wanting to find love and, wanting a relationship, and that was really important to them. And, there was a lot of support for employment in Australia here, but there wasn't a lot of support when it came to helping people who were looking to date. So it just felt like an opportunity to tell those stories.
With a lot of seasons under your belt, what would you say is like the positive and really negative feedback that you may have received from the show's seasons?
Well, I mean, there's been the positive feedback's been phenomenal, and it's kind of, I mean, it started as a little show for Australia's public broadcaster, right? So it didn't. The plan wasn't that this was going to be a show that was going to be seen all over the world. So um, our focus then was just telling these great stories of these unique people who we were following along in their journey. And uh, look, since it sort of became such a big thing, and we made the US version, and people have seen it, as I said, all over the world, it's really kind of inspired a lot of programs, a lot of individuals, a lot of, it's so that's amazing, really, that it's actually having real world sort of effects, and it's actually created positive change in a real world scenario, which is amazing. Of course, with a lot of things, there's going to be some people who have negative feedback, but all we can do is listen and try to address what, if we think something is valid, or if we think a criticism is valid, we try to address it if we can. But you can't please everyone, unfortunately. But we do our best. I mean, we want the people who are part of the series to be really happy with their portrayal and with how they come across. And to me, they're the most important critics of the show.
Yes.
Like they're feeling like their stories have been told in a respectful and positive way is the most important thing for me.
I was going to say, what is the hardest part to filming a show with folks that may need a little extra time, may need a little extra time processing things? Can it be a little frustrating for you, or do you just relax? You take your time. Hey, it takes as long as it takes to get there.
I mean, as you know, the spectrum is so diverse. So, some people might, need more processing, and some people don't at all. And some people that we film are a hell of a lot smarter than I am. So it's just about working with the individual and trying to find where they're at, and then try to work with them in a way that best, makes the experience a positive one for them. And I guess that's, we do that via kind of getting to know them, their families, their friends. And it's really just, I guess it's a tailored thing, but it hasn't been frustrating at all. I mean, I've worked on, some reality TV shows in my time, and the participants on those are much more difficult to deal with than the people I've worked with on this series. I mean, we've been blessed to film with wonderful people, But that's also part of us just wanting to tell positive stories. So we're casting people who we like, who we think are great, who we think audiences are going to fall in love with. So it's been really positive, and it's not particularly frustrating at all, I would say. No.
Well, when we get back with you, Kian, we're going to ask, how do you find the locations and the people? Stay with me.
Life with the Spectrum would like to thank our friends at Don's Tree Service. Mention that you heard it here and get 10% off. 770-413-TREE. If you'd like to have your business name here, reach us at gcast.com.
Welcome back to Life with the Spectrum. I'm your host, Gina Cavalli. With me today, the Emmy Award-winning director, Kian O'Clery, right here with Love on the Spectrum. Kian, where do you come up with the locations and the cast members? Like, how does that work? Do people go to a website and apply?
Yeah, we kind of, when we're starting out on another series, we kind of just start to try and put the word out as far and wide as possible. So we just make up little flyers and we try and just get them out to as many communities as we can. And then people who are interested write into us. And, you know, we have a producing team who also kind of works doing the casting. So we do casting in a very different way to most shows. We don't have a casting team and then a producing team. Like my team is the casting team. The producing team do the casting as well, which I think is really important because then you have that continuity of the first person who you ever spoke to is probably going to be the person who's going to work with you if you end up being a part of the series. So
right.
We just try and put the word out as far and wide as we can, you know, and then we just, you know, everyone gets a phone call. Most people will have a quick Zoom. And then we just kind of start to look at the people who've come in and try and work out who might be best for the series and who might be somebody whose story we want to tell. And the other question was locations. Well, you know, we're not restricted, so we just look for the best people and the best stories, and we kind of then we go to where they are. You know, we follow them all around the US.
I love it. You know, and it goes not just in the United States, but you did it in Australia, you did it across the pond there. And I like how you go to different locations because autism is worldwide, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's, you know, and there's always new stories, and I guess that's for me as we kind of progress and make further series. It just becomes about, you know, showcasing new people and new people who represent the diversity of the spectrum. You know, because everyone's so different.
So when it comes to being neurodiverse, and you're, you know, in Hollywood, let's just say, how do you personally feel about actors who are not on the spectrum portraying people who are neurodiverse? Do you think that that's a good thing? Do you think that they're killing it? Do you think that they need to work on it? Do you think that we should open it up to the neurodiverse population to bring them on board? Because we have a lot of actors right here in Atlanta, in LA, all over the world, really, that are on the spectrum wanting to work.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I think absolutely if there are people who are neurodiverse who are up for taking a role and portraying someone who's on the spectrum, absolutely, that's going to be the best scenario for sure. I mean, it's interesting that Michael from the Australian series, he's actually now at the moment they're filming a drama where he's playing a neurodiverse young man in a drama series. So, you know, that's I guess a direct result of him being a part of our series. So, look, absolutely, I think, you know, when it's it's always better to cast from people within the neurodiverse population if you are casting someone who is on the spectrum. And, you know, I think that's happening. I think it really is happening. And when you look at some of the shows out there, a lot of them are now, you know, making sure that does happen. Like Please Like Me with Josh Thomas, that was a good example of it.
There's a lot of opportunity. And I think, like you said, the world is changing and we're adapting and we're learning to be a little bit more inclusive. And I really think that your show has a lot to do with that.
Well, thank you.
I bet you get that a lot, right?
Well, I mean, people do say, yeah, and I thank you, and I, you know, it's amazing, really. But I kind of say again, it's accidental. You know, it's not like I didn't sort of, me and Northern Pictures and Karina, we didn't sort of come into this saying we're going to, you know, help change the conversation around autism and neurodiversity. But I guess just because of the platform of the show and the nature of it being kind of on the biggest broadcaster in the world, it's kind of happened. And I just hope that we can continue to tell the stories in a respectful way that informs, engages, entertains. So hopefully that's happening. We've just finished making series 2 of the US series. We've just finished editing, so that's going to be released.
This month, as a matter of fact. Let me ask you a question. Speaking of, can you give us any insight on what we can expect in the next Love on the Spectrum?
Yeah, so series 2 of Love on the Spectrum US is going to be coming out soon, and we're following some of the same people from series 1 that you know and love, and we're also meeting some new individuals, one of them whom you know, and I believe you make a cameo in the series too, Gina.
Ooh. Well, that's wonderful. I'm really excited. You know, it's and truth be told, it's why Claire and I started Table Talk here in Atlanta, is because we saw a need. I speak with a lot of young adults, and the biggest things that they talk about are just what you said. The fact that they can't find employment after school or gainful employment. They might work for 3 months and then something happens, and for whatever reason, they're not working and they're still living at home. With living at home with aging parents, where do we go from here? Trying to build communities for young adults on the spectrum. And then finally, talking about wanting to make new friends, possibly find love. They don't know what that looks like, but yet they desperately they want it because they see it on TV shows. They see it in the movies. They want to experience their first kiss. They want to experience some new great things. So it's why we came up with Table Talk here in Atlanta, and it's just a huge hit. So, I'm looking forward to continuing that here and possibly expanding it, because it's definitely something that we know is needed out there for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, it just goes to show, doesn't it, that there is a need and there is a want and there's a desire for people to make connections. And it's great that you're doing events like that. I mean, that's the real sort of on the ground hard work that's helping to change people's lives, you know. I'm just making a TV show. I'm just telling stories of these great people, but you know what you're doing is amazing. That's the real kind of
an Emmy award-winning TV show, Kian.
Well, yeah, but you know, it's like I think that the things you're doing are really, really important, and you know, just from being at that event that we filmed, it just goes to show what a need and desire there is out there. So it's great.
So if anyone was interested in possibly sending in some material, a picture, a little, you know, a couple of words like why they should be chosen as the next participant on Love on the Spectrum for like the following seasons, because I'm sure it's going to be picked up and renewed over and over and over again. It makes moms like me cry and laugh, and it's so heart touching for sure. Where would they go? Like, is like Love on a Spectrum on the website where they can fill out the information? Northern Pictures?
I mean, the Northern Pictures website sometimes has a link, but so at the moment we're not casting, but we may be very shortly. It all depends on, you know, various factors, but we still have an email inbox open. So anyone who's interested can email us at production@northernpictures.com.au. So it's just production@northernpictures.com.au. Just send in a photo, send in a bit of information about yourself, and you know, we will read it eventually. So there's like an auto reply at the moment, but at least if you send it in, we've got it, and we have your details if anyone's interested.
Well, I can't thank you enough, Kian, for being on the show and doing what you're doing. I think you do an amazing job as a mom to a son who is on the spectrum. I think you do an amazing job of capturing the joyfulness, the sweet innocence, the brilliant minds, and the way they look at the world differently. And you really do a great service, I'm going to cry, to the neurodiverse population. And I say that heartfelt because every time I watch Love on the Spectrum, I'm laughing. I'm immediately crying. I'm feeling like this is my life and what I'm living with my son. And so I need to prepare him for all of these amazing things that are going to happen to him, just as you are looking through the lenses of what's happening to your participants on the show.
Oh, well, thank you. And, we just hope that people are, but like yourself, or people on the spectrum are watching the show and who may have been afraid to kind of step out there and try and make connections, inspired by watching the journeys of other people and seeing that it can be done, and, it is being done, and there's no reason not to.
Well, here's to another Emmy, Kian.
Fingers crossed, right?
Thanks so much for being on.
Thanks, Gina.
That was a really cool episode for me. I mean, talking to the director, showrunner, and co-founder of Love on the Spectrum, which, not for nothing, the new season airs this month, and you may or may not see me in it. We appreciate you checking out Life with the Spectrum right here on YouTube. Thanks for commenting, sharing, most of all, subscribing. Remember, you can always find Life with the Spectrum in a podcast form wherever you grab your podcast. Till next time, we live life with the Spectrum. See ya.
Bye.